In the same way, we are transmitting information. There's the matrix holographic internet, and then there's also the other internet, the alternative internet, which is us transmitting from the DNA to each other. This is one way that we come up with this thing about telepathy, where someone thinks something and someone next to them says, I was just thinking that. There has been a connection, a broadcast and a receiving, and therefore the same thought appears to both people. The 100th monkey syndrome, where they found that once a certain number of a species has learned something new, suddenly many, all or a vast number of that species can suddenly do whatever the few have been taught or learned spontaneously without being taught. They just know how to do it. How do they do that? Because those that have understood or learned something new, they transmit that knowledge. They don't know they're doing it, but they're transmitting it all the time because we're transmitter receivers. Other members of that species pick it up. If it's a monkey, the elephant doesn't pick it up. Other monkeys in the same species pick it up. Why? Because they're operating on the same wavelength of that species, the same DNA code transmitter receiver frequency. Therefore, that species picks up the new knowledge and not another species that is operating on a slightly different frequency. And that is why when people start to change their frequency by beginning to wake up, they start to lock into the frequency on which this knowledge is being transmitted by people who are already aware of it and learning about it and waking up to understand it, and suddenly they start to get the knowledge of what's going on spontaneously. They don't have to, read a book or anything. They just know it because they're now starting to pick it up. And this is why we are in a wonderful time at this point that we're experiencing, because the 100th monkey syndrome within the human species is beginning to kick in. And people are starting to spontaneously pick it up and tune into it. And that's what the microchip is really about, to suppress this process that I'm talking about, to shut us down from waking up and to shut others down from waking up as a result of this alternative internet and collective reality that we're talking about. Now, the 95% of DNA, they call junk DNA, kind of funnily enough relates to about the 90-odd% of reality that people, scientists say exists that we cannot perceive. And the real meaning of this other junk DNA is that that connects us to other levels of reality. Connects us out into these other realms, these multidimensional realms. We're supposed to be multidimensional beings. We're supposed to be able to connect and perceive multidimensional reality. Just as when the consciousness leaves the body in a near-death experience, they say, I just had this unbelievably massive expansion of consciousness. I just could see and perceive everything. Yes, this is here to shut that down. It doesn't have to be, but that's the way what it's manipulated to do. And it's cutting us off from this 95% of DNA or in awareness that holds us in the fractional part of DNA that relates to this perception. This is why people say, we only use a tiny fraction of our brains. Well, we only use them in relation to this reality. The brain is a multidimensional computer that is possible to perceive infinite kind of realities. But that we shut off from that by the manipulation of many other things, and therefore we say we only use part of our brains. No, we only perceive that part of the brain and perceive that we use that part of the brain that relates to this reality, because that's where we're seeing it from. We are incredible. This is incredible. We use it as a fraction of what's possible. What is reality? Whatever we believe it is. I saw this once. Where there is love, there is pain. Balls. No. Where there is love, there is pain. If you believe where there is love, there is pain. That's all it is. What we believe is what we experience. They want you to believe that where there is love, there is pain, because if you believe that, where you find love, you will have pain. And you'll relate love, oh, it's so painful, love. Oh, I don't like that very much. There is no spoon. What was that line by that child in the Matrix? It's not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself. Yes, because it's only his here. The spoon's in your bloody head. Therefore, we perceive it bends. The spoon don't actually bend because there is no frickin' spoon except as a decoded energy field in our head that takes a holographic form. All these things. It's a miracle. No, it's not a miracle. It is the natural process of infinite possibility. You perceive it is a miracle because you are perceiving from the point of sense of constant total limitation. Therefore, anything that happens beyond your sense of limitation becomes a miracle. Not a miracle. How can you run through fire and not get burned just because you've programmed your mind not to perceive that you're going to get burned? Because an illusion can only burn an illusion if you believe it can. Otherwise it can't. Believe something else on a deep level and it will not unfold. Because we are consciousness. It's a vibrating field that we've decoded in our heads to be a holographic, apparently physical body. How can it be harmed or be burned? Except if we believe that is the way it works. It's all belief. All perception. William Blake said, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. Exactly. And if we reach that point where we cleanse the doors of perception and we remove the implanted limitation and sense of who we are, then we are not, I think, therefore I am. We are not even, I compute, therefore I am. I am, therefore I am. We just are. Everything just is. This is the freedom of limitless perception that this whole global conspiracy is designed to shut us out from. To deny the perception of, so that we operate within the frequency and belief system that allows the few to control the many. When we realize there are no many, but just one infinite I, controlling that becomes a nightmare. And this thing of the body and this reality can be broken down to pure mathematics, because it is a mathematical construct on one level. Can be broken down to numbers. This is why we get kind of numerology and how these sequences of numbers, and this is why the Illuminati play with numbers, like I've mentioned briefly, but there's enormous detail to go with that on another.
Skal jeg prøve å følge Cosmo?
Av og til så har jeg en god følelse for dette. Av og til så tar det litt lengre tid. Ja. Jeg skal forsøke. Pass på at jeg ikke gjør noe.
Ja, jeg følger med. Yes.
Skjer det noe?
Skjeen bøyer seg. I all verden. Jeg føler meg nesten litt lurt da, for jeg skjønner jo ikke hvordan du gjør dette her. Ja.
Skal jeg prøve litt til?
Jeg synes den ser bøyd ut, ja, men...
Får du låne skjeen din?
Da har vi en bøyd skje. Ja.
Det er jo enkelt.
Men hvordan gjør du dette nå? Er dette med tankens kraft, så at du bøyer denne skjeen?
Jeg skal ikke begi meg ut på å forklare det i det hele tatt. Jeg konsentrerer meg så det holder så det holder om det. Så har du sett Matrix?
Ja.
Matrix 1, der er det et filmtriks.
Er det ikke det som bøyer en skje? Eller noe?
Omtrent sånn, se.
Ja. Du burde jo få rollen i Matrix 4, tror jeg. Merkelig, altså. Og dette har du ingen spesielle evner til å gjøre det, du har bare...
Nei, det er snakk om konsentrasjon.